Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here then just welcome, and I'm super happy to have you here. Today I'm out with yet another crochet tutorial, and this time I'm going to teach you how to make this super cute heart granny square top. It's perfect not only for Valentine's but also for summer when the weather is a little bit warmer. And as always, I have made sure that this tutorial is as beginner friendly as possible, so I'm really going into as much detail as I can with every single stitch and every single step, starting from making the granny squares to later on connecting them together, adding borders and adding straps. Besides that, I have also made sure that this pattern is highly customizable, meaning that you can use whatever type of granny square you wish. You can also add more rows of them to make this top longer. You can use different type of border as well as create different types of straps. So that's totally up to you, and you can use this tutorial kind of like as a basis for any type of top that you would wish, as long as it is made from granny squares. Lastly, I can also advise you to perhaps make these granny squares a little bit smaller, because once you're wearing this top they will actually stretch out a little bit, so that's just something to keep in mind. But otherwise everything is going to be explained in this video, and if you need any extra help or have any questions, then just feel free to reach out in the comment section below and I will try to help you from there. And also I have prepared a written version of this heart granny square. I will link it down below, and as always your support will be super appreciated. But now without further ado, let's jump into it. Here are the materials that I will be using. Here I have different shades of pink and purple of 4-ply cotton yarn, and here is the exact brand that I'm using, as well as some more specs just in case if you're interested in this specific brand. Besides that, you will of course need a crochet hook. For this project I will be using 3mm hook, and you will also need scissors as well as some measuring tape. And here I have the actual granny square, which I will be teaching you how to make in this video. But before we can jump further, we first have to take our measuring tape and measure the circumference around our bust. So take this measuring tape and measure the widest point around your bust. In my case it is 84 centimeters, which is approximately 33 inches. So according to this pattern, it means that we will have to create 8 granny squares, and when summing up the width of these granny squares, it will add up to make the circumference of our bust, which in my case was 84 centimeters. So this means that in my case each granny square will have to be around 10.5 centimeters. So to make it around our bust, for one row we will have to create 8 granny squares, and then we will add extra 8 granny squares to add an additional row to kind of add length to this top. But now let's proceed further with actually creating this granny square. First, I will be starting with this pink color, and our first steps will be to do the actual heart shape. So for that, we will have to basically do 2 rounds. And our first step for that is to do a magic ring. So for that, I'm just grabbing my yarn and then tying it around my fingers like this to create an X shape here. Then I'm just taking my crochet hook and going underneath the first piece of yarn that I have and just grabbing the second piece and pulling it through to have a loop on our hook. And then we just have to chain 3, so grabbing yarn and pulling it through the loop that we have. So 1, 2 and 3 like this, and then we can remove this yarn from our fingers, and as you can see we have created magic ring as well as chain of 3, and in this case this chain of 3 is going to count as 1 double crochet, which will be the main stitch for the first round that we will be doing. But now since we have this done, we can proceed further with the rest of the stitches for the first round. So for the first round we will just have to do extra 12 double crochets that will go inside this magic ring, and all of these double crochets will have to cover both of these pieces of yarn that we have here. So if you notice that you are running low on this loose piece, you can just pull it and you will get more of it basically. But now we just have to do 12 double crochets inside here, and with chain of 3 that we have already, it will count as 13 stitches in total. But now let's start doing that. So in case if you're not familiar with double crochet, to do that you have to yarn over, then go through the magic ring, grab yarn and pull it through to have 3 loops on your hook. then yarn over and go through 2 like this, yarn over again and go through remaining 2 like that. So that is 1 double crochet, and then we just have to repeat this process to create 12 of them in total, plus with the chain of 3 that we already had in the beginning, it will count as 13 double crochets. But now let's do one more together. So yarning over, going through the magic ring, grabbing yarn and pulling it up to have 3 loops, then yarning over and going through 2, yarning over again and going through remaining 2 like this. So this is how you are doing double crochets, and then just continue adding these stitches until you have 12 double crochets in total, plus the chain of 3, which will count as the 13th stitch. And then I will meet you back again once you have added all of these stitches. So here I'm done with all 13 stitches, and this is how it looks. So now the next step is to actually close this magic ring. And to do that, all we have to do is just grab this loose end that we have here and pull it. And as we are pulling it, you can see that this magic ring is closing, and we are establishing nice and round shape here in the very middle that we have here. So with this first round, or with this magic ring being closed, we can now also connect this first round that we have here. So to do that, we will have to do a slip stitch, and we will be doing that here on top of the 3rd chain from the very beginning. So we are going inside this 3rd chain here, then grabbing yarn and pulling it through, and then also pulling it through the loop that we already had on our hook like this. So now the first round is connected and it's finalized. And now we can proceed further with the second round, which will actually help us to establish this heart shape. So our first step for that is to skip this first stitch that we have here, and then in the following stitch right after that, we will have to do 8 treble crochet stitches, all of them inside this one stitch. So to do a treble crochet, you have to yarn over twice like this, then go through this stitch that you have here, grab yarn and pull it through, and at this point you should have 4 loops on your hook. Then yarn over and pull through 2 like this, yarn over again and pull through the next 2 like that, and then yarn over for the last time and pull through the remaining 2 like this. So this is 1 treble crochet, and in total we just have to do 8 of them. So I'm already proceeding further with doing the second treble crochet like this. But now let's do one more together again. So yarning over twice, going through this space, grabbing yarn, pulling it through to have 4 loops on our hook, then yarning over and pulling through 2, yarning over again and pulling through 2 again, yarning over for the last time and pulling through the remaining 2 like this. So now we have 3 treble crochets, so we just have to add 5 more. So make sure that you do 8 of them in total in this very same space that we have here. So here I have done all 8 treble crochets, and now we can proceed further with the next stitch. So inside the next stitch we are actually doing 1 double crochet, so you already know that one, and I'm just adding double crochet right in the next stitch. After that, we will actually have to do 2 stitches in the next one. So in there we will be doing 1 double crochet, so I'm just adding 1 double crochet inside there. And then the second stitch that we will have to do is going to be half double crochet. So for half double crochet, you have to yarn over, go through the stitch, grab yarn and pull it through to have 3 loops on your hook, then yarn over and pull through all 3 loops that you have like this. So that is 1 half double crochet. Then we can move to the next space, and in there we are doing 2 half double crochets. So let's do them together. So yarning over, going through the space, grabbing yarn, pulling it through to have 3 loops, yarning over and pulling through all 3 like this. So that is 1, and then we are adding 1 more in the very same space like this. So that was 2 half double crochets inside the very same space in there. And then we can move to the next space, and in there we will be doing 1 half double crochet and 1 double crochet. So starting with the half double crochet in here like this, and then adding double crochet inside the same space that we have here like this. So this is how it looks now, and after that we just have to chain 1 like this. And if I turn my heart like this. You can see that we have basically created half of it, and now all we have to do is basically that we just have to mirror everything also on the other side. So now I'm just continuing with replicating what we did here in a mirror effect. So first I'm just starting with doing double crochet, and then in the same space also adding half double crochet like that. Then in the following space we are doing 2 half double crochets, so 1 and then also the second one inside the same space like that. And then in the next one we are doing 1 half double crochet and then adding double crochet inside the same space in there like this. So this is how it looks so far. And then once that's done, in the next space we are just doing 1 double crochet stitch in here. So I'm just completing it, and this is how it looks so far. And then in the next one, this is where we have to do again 8 treble crochets inside this same space. So we are just proceeding with doing 8 treble crochet stitches inside this same space that we have here. So I already have 1, and now it's just left for me to do 7 more inside the same space that we have here. Now here I have also completed all 8 treble crochets, and then the next step for us is to actually skip the following stitch that we have here, and that brings us to the very first stitch that we have here from the previous round. And in there we are actually going to do a slip stitch. So I'm just going to go through this space here, and then I'm just grabbing yarn, pulling it through, and then also pulling it through the loop that I already had on my hook like this. So now the second round is connected, and now we can actually fasten off. So to actually make this fastening off point a little bit smoother, I'm just making this loop a little bit longer and removing my hook and going in from the back side here in this very same space that we have here. So I'm just going through with my crochet hook here, and then I'm putting this loop back on my hook and pulling it back in the back side with the help of my hook like this. So now this loop is pulled in the back, and here we have it like this, and now we can actually fasten off. So to fasten off we will just be doing 1 chain like this, and then we are just making this loop a little bit longer, grabbing our scissors, and then we can cut off yarn like that. And as it's cut off, you can see that we can just pull this loose end that we have here, and as we are pulling it we are tightening this knot securely like that. So now the second round is also finalized, and as some people have already noted, you can see that we have created this super cute smiley face here. But now with the second round done, we can move further with the third round, and for that I will be using this light pink color. However, feel free to use whatever color mix you wish. And actually with the third round we will be establishing a square shape around this heart. But our first step for now is to actually attach yarn, and for that I'm just grabbing my yarn, and we will be doing that with our heart turned with the tip up like this. And then here you can see we have this middle point with the chain of 1 that we did, and we will be attaching yarn in the stitch right before this chain 1 gap. So I'm just going through this stitch here and then grabbing yarn and pulling it through like this, and then just making a secure knot to make sure that this yarn is actually staying in there like this. Then we can proceed further with the actual stitches, and first before we can start we just have to pull up yarn like this, so we have a loop and we can get started, and then we just have to chain 1 like this. So this chain of 1 is actually not going to count as a stitch, so you can kind of ignore it. And now in this same space we just have to add 1 single crochet. So for that we just have to go through this space, then grab yarn and pull it through like this to have 2 loops on our hook, then yarn over and pull through both loops like this. So now we have created 1 single crochet. Then after that our next step is to do a slip stitch, and we will be doing that in here in the back loop of this chain from the previous round. So I'm just going through the back loop of this chain here like this, and then I'm just grabbing yarn and doing a slip stitch, so pulling it through the chain and then also pulling it through the loop that we already had, like that. And now we can proceed with doing stitches also on this side. So first, in the following stitch, we are just doing one single crochet, so the same that we had right before this slip stitch, like this. Then in the next space we are doing one half double crochet, so I'm just adding a half double crochet stitch inside there, like that. And then in the following stitch we are doing one double crochet, so right after in there we are just adding one double crochet stitch like this. And with that we have actually reached the stitches where we will have to do our corner. So in the following stitch we will be doing half of the corner that we have here. So first we are doing one double crochet, so I'm just going inside this stitch and doing one double crochet like this. And then in this same space we will also be adding one treble crochet, so yarning over twice and doing a treble crochet stitch inside the same space that we have here, so like this. With this we have finalized kind of like the half of this corner, and then to make our corner turn we just have to chain 3, so 1, 2 and 3. So this is half of the corner, and now to finalize this corner we will have to do stitches inside the following stitch that we have here. And in there we are just doing one treble crochet, so that will be one of the stitches that we have to do inside this space. And then we are also adding one double crochet, so in the same space I have added treble crochet as well as double crochet. And right after that in the next space we are just doing one double crochet, so in there I'm just doing that like this. Then in the following space we are doing 2 stitches, which will be one half double crochet and one single crochet, so in the same space also adding a single crochet stitch. And after that we are doing one single crochet in the next stitch, so in there I'm just doing that. And then in the next space that we have there, we are doing 2 single crochet stitches inside this one space. So this is one, and then also adding the second one like this. Then once that's done, we can move further with the next space, and in there we are doing one half double crochet stitch like this. And then in the following one we have again reached our corner, so in there we will be again doing 2 stitches, but in this case it's going to be one half double crochet like that, and then we are also adding one double crochet inside the same space like that. So that is half of this corner, and then to make our corner turn we just have to chain 3, so 1, 2 and 3. And then to finalize this corner we are moving further with the next stitch where we will do the other half of it. So first we are just doing one double crochet like so, and then in the same space we are also adding one half double crochet like this. So now as you can see we have created 2 corners in here. And then we can move further with the next spaces, and in there we are doing 2 half double crochets, 1 in each. So I'm adding 1 half double crochet in here, and then in the next one I'm doing another half double crochet like that. And then after that in the following stitch we are just doing 1 double crochet stitch. So I'm going in there and doing a double crochet in there. And with this we have kind of made it to the middle of this heart. So the next stitch will actually be going through here where we fastened off during the second round, and in there we will be adding 1 treble crochet. So yarning over twice, going through this middle space that we have here where we fastened off, then grabbing yarn and pulling it through to have 4 loops, and then just yarning over and pulling through pairs of 2 like this. So this is how it looks now, and as you can see we have again finalized half of this round. And now on the other side, since it's technically the same, we just have to mirror everything, so we are actually creating this square that we are going for. So in the next space we just have to add 1 double crochet, so I'm doing that. Then in the following 2 spaces we are doing 1 half double crochet in each, so I'm just doing one, and then in the next one I'm doing the second half double crochet like that. And then again we have reached the corner, so we are kind of doing the same that we did here. So first I'm just doing half double crochet, and then in the same space I'm again adding one double crochet like this. And then to make our corner turn, I'm just chaining 3, and then in the next space we are again doing one double crochet. So I'm adding a double crochet stitch in there, and then in the same space also adding one half double crochet. So now also this third corner is finalized, and we are moving further with the stitches on this side. So first we are starting with doing one half double crochet, so I'm doing that in here. Then in the next space we are doing 2 single crochets, and both of them are in the same space like that. Then in the following space I'm just doing 1 single crochet, and then again in the next one we are doing 1 single crochet together with 1 half double crochet, and both of them are done in this very same space here. And then in the next space I'm doing 1 double crochet like this, and then again we have reached the corner. So first we are doing 1 double crochet in this next space like that, and then in the same space we are also adding 1 treble crochet stitch. So I'm just completing that. So this is half of the 4th corner that we have here, and to make it turn we are just chaining 3, and then in the next space we are just adding 1 treble crochet like this together with 1 double crochet, also done in the same space like that. And then we just have 2 stitches left. In the next one we are doing 1 double crochet stitch, and then in the remaining one we are doing 1 half double crochet. So I'm just going in there and completing this stitch in here like this. So now we have finalized this 3rd round, and we have also created this square shape kind of that we were going for. With the following rounds it will get a little bit smoother, but now we can connect this round together, and for that again we are just doing slip stitch, and we will be doing that here inside the very first stitch which we did, which was this single crochet. So I'm just going through that one, then grabbing yarn, pulling it through and pulling it through the loop that we already had like that, and then we can fasten off. So for that I'm just chaining 1 and then making this loop a little bit longer, grabbing scissors, cutting off yarn, and as it's cut off we can just tighten in a secure knot like this. So now this 3rd round is done, and we have kind of established this square shape. And now we can move further with the 4th round, and for that I will be using this light purple. And starting from this 4th round we will actually be just doing like regular rounds, and the purpose of them will be just to smoothen out this square shape that we have, as well as to make our granny square bigger. So basically the 4th round and the following ones will be quite similar depending on what is your main stitch, but I will just show you how I'm doing this for the 4th round. So first again we just have to start by attaching yarn, and I'm just doing that in a random stitch here. So I'm just going through here, grabbing yarn, pulling it through, and then just tightening it in a secure knot to make sure that it stays there like this. And then during this 4th round, at least in my case, you're more than welcome to use different stitches if you wish, but I will be using double crochets. So first I'm just pulling up a loop like this and then chaining 3. So 1, 2 and 3, and in this case this chain of 3 is going to count as 1 double crochet. So right away we are just moving further with the next stitch and adding double crochet on top of that one. And basically throughout this round we will just be doing 1 double crochet stitch on top of every single stitch that we have from the previous round. So here you can see that I have already added a couple of double crochet stitches, 1 on each stitch that I have from the 3rd round, and now I have actually reached the corner. So in the corners, if I'm using double crochet as my main stitch, I will actually be doing 2 double crochet stitches, then chain of 3, and then 2 double crochet stitches again. So let's just do that together. So first I'm doing 2 double crochets inside this corner. So this is one, and then also adding the second one like this. Once that's done, we are just chaining 3, so 1, 2 and 3. So this kind of turns our corner, and then we are just adding 2 more double crochets inside this very same corner space. So this is one, and then the second one as well. So now I have added stitches for the corner, and after that I'm just proceeding further with doing double crochets on top of every single stitch that I have from the previous rounds. So this is how it is looking so far for me, and all I'm going to do is just go around, add double crochets on top of all the stitches that I have, and in the corners I will be doing 2 double crochets, chain of 3 and 2 double crochets again. So that is the whole process that we have for this 4th round, and it's also going to be very similar for the following rounds. But for now, just go around and add these stitches, and then I will meet you back again once I have finalized this round and we can connect it together. So here I have gone all the way around and completed this 4th round. So now we can connect it together, and I'm just gonna do a slip stitch here in the 3rd chain from the very beginning like this. And because I will be switching colors, I will also be fastening off, so chaining 1 and cutting off our yarn like this, and then just tightening it in a secure knot like this. So now this 4th round is finalized as well. So at the moment this granny square is measuring to around 7.5 or 8 centimeters. So for my size it's still too small, and therefore I will be adding another round and I will be doing double crochets again. So basically this round is going to be the same as it was for the 4th round. So here I have finalized 5th round, and this is how it looks. And if I measure my granny square, now it is around 9 centimeters. So for my size, I still have a little bit left. I have to reach 9.5 centimeters. So actually I will be adding one more round, which in my case will be the 6th round. And since I have to be kind of like cautious about how much I want to add, instead of doing double crochets again, I will actually be adding half double crochets as the border, because that's going to be my last round, and with that I will actually reach the size that I'm going for. So here is one square that is already finalized, and this is how it looks. So for all of the squares I'm adding this color as my border color. But let me just quickly show you how the process is pretty much going to be. So first, again, I'm just attaching yarn, so the same as always for each round when I'm changing colors. So just attaching yarn here like that, and then we just have to get started. So because I will be doing half double crochets, instead of 3 I will be chaining 2, so 1 and 2, and this chain of 2 will count as half double crochet, and then on top of every single stitch I just have to add 1 half double crochet. So that is one of the changes that we have if we are using different stitch instead of double crochet that we had for the previous 2 rounds. So this is how it looks once I have added a couple of them. And then once we reach the corner, again, something a little bit different. We are just doing 2 half double crochets, so 1 and 2. And once that is done, we are chaining 2, so 1 and 2. And then again, adding 2 half double crochets inside the same corner space that we have here. So the only difference that is changing are the stitches and chains that we do in either in the beginning or in between the corners here. And after the corner we are just again continuing with doing 1 half double crochet on top of every single stitch that we have until we reach the next corner. And in the corner we are again repeating the same thing, so 2 half double crochets, chain of 2 and 2 half double crochets again. So go all the way around until you have finished this round, and the important thing basically is to reach the size that you are going for, which in my case is that I have to reach 10.5 centimeters for this one square. So in total, once I have created 8 squares to cover all the circumference around my bust, I would have 84 centimeters in total. So here I'm also done with adding this 6th round. So last stitch is completed and we just have to connect this round together. So I will be doing a slip stitch here in the 2nd chain from the very beginning, like this. And then we can fasten off by chaining 1 and again just cutting off yarn and tightening it in a secure knot, like this. So this is how our square is looking right now, and if we measure it, we can just double check that we have reached the size that we were going for. So now it is measuring to around 10.5 centimeters. If I might stretch it out a little bit, I will get the exact size that I'm going for, probably, because we also have to keep in mind that once we will be wearing this top, it will probably stretch out a little bit. So I'm happy with the size that I was creating for myself. So this is basically the granny square that I will be replicating multiple times. And as I mentioned, in total for this top, you will have to create 16 granny squares. So it will kind of create like 2 rows of 8 granny squares, and for myself I have chosen to make each granny square basically with different color palette. So you can see that there are different versions of pink and purple being mixed in, like different colors for each rounds. So for now, all you have to do is just keep on creating granny squares, to do whatever color scheme you wish. It's totally up to you. The important thing is to create 16 granny squares in total and to also make sure that they actually fit around your bust. So for now, just keep on creating granny squares, and then I will meet you back again once you have created 16 of them in total. Here I have prepared all 16 granny squares, and now we can actually proceed further with connecting them together. But normally before I do that, I tend to lay out my granny squares on the floor so I can better understand what goes where, as well as to reorganize the color scheme, since every single granny square is kind of different. Here I have laid them all out, and this is how it will look once they are all connected. And now here I'm just showing the connection points between each granny square. So you can choose to either connect one by one, or you can also just proceed with connecting them in horizontal line and then in vertical lines. It's totally up to you. But basically proceed with connecting all of the granny squares together in one rectangle, and then proceed with connecting one side to the other to create a circular shape. But now let me quickly show you how I'm actually connecting these granny squares together. So here I have 2 of them, and I will be connecting them together in this side here. So for that we will be using slip stitches, and we will be just doing basic slip stitches in the back, which means that if this is going to be the direction that we are connecting, then we basically just have to fold these granny squares like this to make sure that both of the hearts are facing in the right direction, like that. And then after that we are kind of like turning it this way so we can actually proceed and get started, because we will attach yarn here and then move further with slip stitches on this side basically. And then I'm just grabbing my yarn and crochet hook. I will be using the same yarn that I did for the last round, so it kind of blends in. And then we just have to attach yarn, and I will be doing that here in the corner of one granny square, and then also going through the same corner also in the other granny square. So here in this corner I'm just going through this chain that I have here, and then also going through the same chain that I have on the other granny square, like that. And this is where I'm looping through my yarn and just attaching it by making a secure knot to make sure that it stays there, like this. And then after that we can just proceed with doing slip stitches. So for a slip stitch we will just have to make sure that we are going through exactly the same stitch from both granny squares, and before we can do that we first just have to pull up a loop like this and then chain 1 to get started, and then right away we are proceeding with first stitch on each granny square. So here I'm just going through this first stitch that we have here on this granny square, square, and then going through exactly the same stitch also on the other granny square, like this. And then after that, we are just grabbing yarn and pulling it through both stitches, and then also pulling it through the loop that we already had on our hook, like that. So this is one slip stitch, and then we are just repeating the same process for all the following stitches that we have here to connect each of them together, which then also of course connects our two granny squares together. So here I'm already proceeding with the next ones, and let's just do it one more time together. So going through one stitch, then going through the same stitch on the other granny square, grabbing yarn, pulling it through, and then pulling it through the loop on our hook, like this. So this is the whole process for connecting these granny squares. So all you have to do is just repeat this to connect all of them together in the way that you have arrange them to be based on the color scheme or whatever wish you have. And for now, I'm just continuing with connecting these two together, and then I will meet you back here just to show you the progress of this. So here I have connected these granny squares together. This is how it looks from the inside, and if I turn it on the right side, you can see that we have established a very nice and smooth connection, and it looks quite neat. So these two are now connected, and now basically what we can do is just add another one. So here this one would go in here, so for connecting it I would just fold it like that, and then getting back to the other side or the left side of this project, here I have my loop where I finished off. So without cutting yarn, I can actually already proceed with adding this granny square here. And first I would just have to grab this loop through the corner of this granny square. So I'm just going through a corner in here, then grabbing this loop and kind of like attaching it by pulling this loop through, and then after that we can just proceed with also connecting these two together on this side. So here I'm just proceeding with the first stitches that we have from both granny squares, and also just adding slip stitches to connect it. So in this way you're basically just adding two granny squares to one, which kind of helps you to save a little bit of yarn and also to avoid having multiple loose ends, because you're just adding or connecting multiple ones together. So in that sense it makes the process a little bit easier and also quicker, knowing that you won't have to weave in the loose ends at the end, as well as you are just adding and proceeding with the next granny square a little bit quicker. So here I have already added or connected a couple of these stitches, and now if I fold it to the right side, you can see that I have also started to connect this granny square in a very smooth way. So this is how it looks, and this is how you are connecting granny squares together. So just proceed with finishing this one, and then you could start with adding a new one here and then another one here. So do that, and feel free to do it in whatever way you wish, whatever makes the most sense and is the easiest option for you. But for now, just proceed with connecting all of these 16 granny squares together, and then I will meet you back again. So here I have connected all granny squares into a rectangle, and this is how it looks. So now it's just left to connect one side to the other with the same slip stitch method that we used. And now all granny squares are connected together, so now I'm actually able to try on this top. And once this is done, we can actually proceed further with creating our straps for this top. Before we do that, it's quite handy to actually place in some stitch markers to note exactly where the straps will be coming. And here I'm just using these stitch markers from Hobby, which are also in heart shape, and I'm just placing them in based on where I have straps from my bra. So I'm placing them in exactly the same location on both sides, and then also in the same positions also on the back side. So here I have my stitch markers. As you can see, they are in exactly the same position on both sides, here in the front as well as in the back. And now we can proceed with adding adding straps in here, and while doing that we will also add a little bit of a border at the upper side here. And for our straps, you can do whatever method you wish or whatever type of straps you want to create, but basically I will be creating ones that are kind of like spaghetti straps, which are like coming from here and then from here, and we would kind of tie them in a bow once we have actually created them. So those will be kind of like strings from each of these stitch markers that we have. But now let's move further with starting to add them in. And first, again, I will be attaching yarn, and I will be using this same yarn that we are using as a border for our granny squares. So I'm just grabbing it and attaching it somewhere, kind of like I'm starting here from the side, since this will be kind of like where our armpit is. So in here, I'm just attaching yarn like this, in the same way that we have been doing throughout this pattern, like that, and then we just have to pull up a loop and chain one to get started. And as a border, we will basically be just adding single crochets on top of every single stitch, and this chain of one is going to count as one single crochet, and then after that I'm just proceeding with the next stitch and adding single crochet in there like this, and then just moving further with all the other stitches that we have and adding one single crochet on top of each stitch that we have here from the top of each granny square. And then once we reach these kind of like the corner parts, there we are also adding just one single crochet on top of each chain inside the corner, as well as here where we have the connection part, we are just also evening out this border that we are having. So kind of like adding single crochet on top of each kind of like chain from the corner, or either if it's a connection point, we are also making sure to add in single crochets. So just go all the way around until you meet your first stitch marker where we will be adding a strap. So here I have made it to the stitch marker, as you can see, and now we can start working on our first strap. And for that I'm just placing also one single crochet inside this stitch where we have stitch marker, and then we can start doing some chains for the strap. So for that I will basically be just doing 75 chains like this, and that will be the length of the strap. And you are more than welcome to adjust this amount of chains that you are doing, either do less or more, but I would kind of advise to do more, because it's always easier to customize if you just have done more rather than having done less and then you have to start everything from the scratch. So for myself, I'm just adding 75, and that kind of also ensures that I'm meeting the top of my shoulder from both sides, as well as I will have some extra length to tie it into a bow when connecting both straps from front and back together. But for now, just add these chains, and I will be doing 75 in total. And here I have done 75 chains in total, which is the length for every single strap that we will be adding. And now we can basically work our way back by doing single crochets inside every single chain that we have done here. So let's start doing that together. So for that, I'm just basically skipping the last chain that I have here, and then starting from the next one, I'm just adding single crochet inside every single chain that we did for the strap. So the process is very simple. You just have to go through all the chains that you have done for your strap and place one single crochet inside each of them. Here I have done a few already, and this is how it looks. So this basically is going to be the width of our straps, and this is what we are going for. And I'm just using single crochets. However, if you want to make these straps a little bit thicker, you're more than welcome to use half double crochets or even double crochets, or if you want to make them even thinner, you can just do slip stitches back in all the chains that we have here. So that's totally up to you, but otherwise just keep on working and doing stitches inside all the chains until you reach back this stitch marker where we started. So that's where I'm going to meet you back again. So here this strap is now finalized and I have added stitches inside every chain. So now we can actually connect it back to the main part of this top and continue with doing the border. So for that, first I'm just removing this stitch marker since we kind of don't need it anymore. And then our next step is to place another single crochet inside this same stitch where the stitch marker was. So I'm just adding a single crochet in there like that. So this is how the connection point of the strap looks like. And after that, we are again just proceeding with adding single crochets inside every single stitch that we have here from the top of these granny squares, as well as corners and connection points. And we are doing that until we reach the next stitch marker, which would be here, and then we can add another strap. So just repeating the same process that we did for this one. And that is all that we have to do here for this upper part. So just go all the way around until you meet stitch marker, then add stitches and chains for the strap, and then continue with the border until you again meet the next stitch marker. So all you have to do is just go around, add border and add straps. And then I will meet you back again once we have done all the straps and we are able to fasten off and proceed with the next steps. And now here I have gone all the way around and added all 4 straps here, as you can see, as well as I have made this border and reached the very beginning where we started to add it. So now we can actually connect this border here, and for that we are just again doing slip stitch, and I will be doing that in here inside the first chain that we did in the very beginning, like that. And then we can fasten off by chaining 1, making this loop a little bit longer, and then again we can just grab our scissors and cut off yarn, and as it's cut off we can just tighten it in a secure knot by pulling this loose end like that. And then we are done with our straps. So then to actually kind of like adjust these straps, we can tie them in a knot. So here I'm just placing both from front and back in a equal position kind of on both sides, and then it's about to estimate the length of how far we want to make the knot, where would be the tip of our shoulder. So I would be just doing it here. So here I'm just tying both straps together in a knot like this, and doing also the same to the other strap on the other side. So also tying a knot in there and making sure that they are both in an equal length. So perhaps this one has to be adjusted a little bit, but we can also do that afterwards. And then just for kind of like styling purposes, I will be tying a little bows here, where like on top of this knot like this. So this would kind of give a little bit like a cute look, and also doing the same on the other side, so we have it equal. But that's totally up to you, and feel free to adjust the fitting depending on how it works for you the best. So now the straps are finalized, and as last we could also add a border here at the bottom. So for that, again, I'm just grabbing the same yarn or the same color that we used for the last round of our granny squares, and then I will be again attaching yarn here in the middle, like below the armpit. So here in the middle of this granny square that we have here, I'm just grabbing this yarn and pulling it through like this, and then making a secure knot to make sure that it actually stays there. And then we can proceed with also adding a cute border here. And at the bottom of this top, we will actually be doing a shell stitch. So let me just also show you how you can do that. So first, to get started, we just have to pull up a loop and chain 1, and this is going to count as 1 single crochet. And then after that, we are actually skipping 2 stitches, so 1 and 2, and then in the third one we will be doing 5 double crochets. So in there I'm just starting to work on 5 double crochet stitches. So this is my second one, and then also adding 3 more to make sure that we have 5 in total. So this is 3, then adding the 4th one like this, and then the last remaining 5th stitch So here I have my 5 double crochets. Once that's done, we are again skipping 2 stitches, so 1 and 2, and then in the third one we are doing 1 single crochet like this. So this is 1 shell stitch. Once that's done, we are just repeating these steps. So again, skipping 2, 1, 2, and then in the third one we are doing 5 double crochets. So again, I'm just repeating, doing these 5 double crochet stitches inside the same stitch like this. So here I have done another 5, and then again we are just skipping 2, so 1 and 2, and then in the third space adding a single crochet, and then again the same thing, 1 and 2, and then in the third one doing 5 double crochets again. So this is basically how you are doing this shell stitch, and it will really give a super cute look at the end. Overall, it just gives a very nice border for anything that you are working on. So this is how it looks so far. So now you just have to go all the way around until you meet this very beginning where we started with this stitch, and then I will meet you back again once we can fasten off. Otherwise, these steps are quite simple and you just have to repeat doing these. So single crochet, then skip 2, then do 5 double crochets into the same space, then again skip 2 and single crochet in the third stitch like that. And here I have gone all the way around with this bottom border, and here I am almost at the very end. As you can see, unfortunately I don't have this perfect finish where I would finish it right at this point, and here I have just a couple of stitches left. And now with my last single crochet completed, I will actually just skip 1, and then here in this next stitch I will be just doing 3 double crochets instead of 5 that we did throughout, adding this border. So this is 2, and then also adding the third one like this, and with that I will also complete. So the last shell stitch that I have here will be just with 3 double crochets, and then I'm going into the stitch where we started and just doing a slip stitch in there like this. So here I kind of created a little bit smaller shell stitch just because we didn't have enough stitches left. And now we have also connected this border so we can fasten off. So again, just chaining 1, making the loop longer, grabbing scissors and cutting off yarn and tightening in a secure knot like this. So now also this border at the bottom is completed and we are basically done with our top. The only last step to do would be to actually weave in all of these loose ends that we have here in the inside of our top. So just do that to also make sure that your top is looking smooth from the inside and there aren't any loose ends of yarn hanging through the bottom or top of this top. So normally for weaving in loose ends, I'm just still using my crochet hook. However, if it's easier for you, you're more than welcome to also use a darning needle or whatever works for you the best. But to show this method here, I'm just going through the stitches in the back with my crochet hook, then grabbing this loose end and pulling it through stitches in the back basically. And in this way I'm just going through multiple stitches and just making sure that this end is weaved in and it's not going to be hanging anywhere, and we are also creating a smooth and neat look from the inside. So basically now what you have to do is just go through all the loose ends that you have and smoothen up your top also from the inside. And then once that's done, we are also officially done with making this top. And this is how it looks on me. I absolutely love this granny square top and the outcome turned out to be super cute, and this is a perfect top especially for Valentine's, as well as something very summery that you can wear when the weather is a little bit warmer. So that was basically it from me today. I really hope that you enjoyed this video and I hope that this tutorial is going to be useful for you in case you are planning to recreate this hard granny square top or just trying to create something similar. And if you do so, then please feel free to tag me in your photos or send me pictures. I would be super happy and I'm super excited to see what you are creating and how your projects turned out. But otherwise, if you did enjoy this video, then please give me a big thumbs up, and if you're new here, then please subscribe and I will see you later. Bye!